They've spent all that money getting you there through their marketing, and the experience is totally opposite what you thought it was going to be. I call that a Milli Vanilli experience.
That's Calvin Stovall, Chief Experience Officer at Iconic Presentations. He wrote Hidden Hospitality, which was nominated for an NAACP Image Award. He knows how to stop wasting acquisition dollars when the experience contradicts the marketing.
Your people are the ones that are going to make that experience memorable, which is true. Everything else is just a ticket to the ball game. Your rooms can be copied. The furniture you put in there can be copied. All of those things, but you can't copy the people in there.
He reveals how hospitality leaders waste acquisition dollars and how they treat brand promises as separate from employee engagement. In this episode, you'll learn why pouring money into marketing wastes dollars without frontline engagement, how homogenous hospitality leaves guests unable to tell one brand from another, and why your team, not your rooms, is the only true differentiator that earns word of mouth. I'm Calvin Tilokee, and this is Socially Awkward. Hello and welcome to the Socially Awkward podcast. I am your host, Calvin Tilokee, and you are not seeing double. There is another Calvin on the show this evening. I have only met a handful of Calvins in my life, and this gentleman happens to be one of them. So please welcome Mr. Calvin Stovall, Chief Experience Officer at Iconic Presentations.
Hey, thank you. All right. Thank you, Calvin. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
For the audience, Calvin and I met, got connected. I don't think we've
actually met in person yet.
Yeah, we haven't met in person. Yeah.
Right.
That's this testament to this new world we live in.
Yeah, but we got to change that. We got to change.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Yeah, we have a relationship now for a few years. I think, I believe it started with the International Hospitality Institute Awards when they started awarding people.
Yes.
And we became aware of each other that way. And but instead of me likely doing a disservice to who you are and everything that you do, just give the audience a bit of a background of yourself and what is Iconic Presentations.
Thank you for having me. In a nutshell, I am a hospitality guy through and through. I've been in it for probably some form of hospitality for 25 something years or so. I started as a desk clerk at a Holiday Inn in downtown Chicago, which is my hometown, and worked in some various hotels there, and I went to undergrad at Chicago State, and eventually ended up going to graduate school at Cornell Hotel School in Ithaca. And probably after that, my whole career trajectory changed in hospitality. From that point on, I ended up moving to Memphis, Tennessee, to serve as a AGM at an Embassy Suites in Memphis, and then worked there a couple of years and transitioned into corporate. I worked in brand research, and then eventually became vice president of brand marketing for Homewood Suites by Hilton. But it was I was in the early days when Homewood was very small at that time, maybe 35, 40 hotels. So it tells you how that was. But it was great. It was probably one of the most exciting times for me in hospitality, because I had a very innovative boss, named Jim Holthauser, who was a great leader and always was open to having us try new ideas and new things. And so that was a great time for me. So I loved it. And so I did that for a while. And then eventually I moved to Minneapolis for a while. And then I was doing my own thing and then 2009 hit. And so I came back to Memphis again, worked for Hilton again. And they were going through a restructuring at the time with, I think Blackstone had purchased them. Okay. I transitioned again and ended up working at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in their brand marketing. ALSAC is the name of that part of that organization. And did that. It was a great experience as well. And then spent some couple of years in another nonprofit called the Soulsville Foundation, which was built up out of the Stax Records recording studio from the famous 60s and 70s. But now it's the Stax Museum of American Soul Music. They also have a charter school on their campus, as well as an after-school music program. So I did that a couple of years. And then ended up here in Charlotte. I'm in Mooresville right now, North Carolina. Okay. I've been here for almost 10 years now. I can't believe it, how fast it's happened. And so here raising my two boys. I have two teenagers, 16 and 18. And so my company, Iconic Presentations, I've been doing this for probably about close to the same amount of years. And I specialize in delivering dynamic keynote presentations on customer experience and leadership. I've been doing it for a while. Love it. I love inspiring people, getting people charged up and excited about their roles and so forth. And it's been great, man. I actually, this has been a great year already. I did my first international keynote in Dublin, Ireland.
Nice.
Month for a company called Forest Software, and they specialize in providing software for salons and spas for their management system. Yeah. So it was probably about 650 or so in the attendance at that conference. One of the most energetic conferences I've ever spoke for, but it was absolutely phenomenal experience. So I speak for mostly hospitality companies, but also healthcare, real estate management companies, and obviously salon organizations,
Right.
companies. Because customer experience and leadership transcends any industry. So you got to have it.
Absolutely.
And my particular focus in my keynotes are probably more around employee experience, because I'm really about, you can't have a positive customer experience without a positive employee experience first. So I really hammer that on a lot when I do my keynotes about employee engagement and how that drives the customer's experience when they come to your establishment. So that's me in a nutshell. I've authored a book, which I'm super excited about, and which came out last October. It's titled Hidden Hospitality, Untold Story of Black Hotels, Motels, and Resorts from the Pioneer Days to the Civil Rights Era. Got nominated for an NAACP Image Award. Didn't take the Covenant Award, but nonetheless, I'm truly blessed to have been nominated. So it's just been a great year so far, Calvin. I can't complete it all, brother.
That's fantastic.
I kept going on and on, but I wanted to get it all out.
Absolutely. Hey, no worries here, man. I was just sitting here in awe of everything you've accomplished so far, just this year. And it's always good to hear somebody speak with passion about what they do. You can tell what people are excited about what they do, man. So yeah, I was like one of your audience members in Dublin. He's sitting here soaking it all in.
Yeah, but I didn't do it alone. I just all of the stuff that's happened in my life, particularly all of my growth in hospitality, man. I had people to help me out. So I've been blessed to have good people in my corner and helping support me and encouraging me and keeping me going. So for all of you out there that's listening and help me, hey, thank you. Thank
Absolutely. You. Yeah, that is important, man. Yeah. That's one thing I was saying. Nobody does it alone, man. Nobody does it alone.
That's right.
For sure. So I want to get into something that you mentioned in your intro there. You talked about a previous leader that you worked with who thought outside the box. And that really struck with me, because I think a big thing with hospitality in general, but specifically in the world we're in with marketing, thinking outside the box doesn't happen often. So
Right.
tell us a little bit about what that experience was like, and how you see hospitality being able to make further strides in that department.
Oh man, that's a great question, Calvin. I was fortunate to have a guy that was my leader, particularly in my first corporate role like that, because Homewood Suites was so new, and at the time, I mean, we were like David, and Residence Inn was the Goliath at the time. I mean, they were everywhere, and so we had a great product, but we didn't have the distribution and the awareness.
Right.
So basically, in a nutshell, Jim, who's my manager, he was like, "Look, we know we have a great product, and we know eventually more people will come in here and see it. However, we gotta do some stuff that's a little bit different." And so he was very keen on bringing ideas to him to kind of help us stand out. We did partnerships with movies and some other stuff that helped us Because what we really focused on, we did great because it was an extended stay hotel. We did great in the weekdays, but it was the weekends where we really wanted to focus and increase occupancy. So we did partnerships with movies, families. We bringing family promotions and all of that stuff in. And we did partnerships with, now they're not here anymore, but like Blockbuster and some other organizations. But it helped us stand out because nobody else was doing it. It was just a cool time for me. And everything we did didn't work. I mean, but what I liked about him is he allowed us to make mistakes and he didn't beat you up about it. He's like, well, it didn't turn out the way we thought it would. Hey, what's next? What are we going to do next?
Yeah.
And that kept the team. We had a small team. It was only me and there was a brand manager that worked with me. We had an executive assistant. Then it was Jim and somebody doing sales. We didn't have a big team.
Right.
So we had to be very, very creative and do things in efficient as possible. But I loved it. It was probably, like I said, one of the best times for me in hospitality because he welcomed the creativity. He didn't want to be like everybody else. He knew we had the customer service delivery. People were friendly there. We had great owners and all of that. But he still was like, we got to be creative. Even the logo, our logo was a duck, and we did something with the duck, man. I mean, we were all over, man. It was just a great time, and so I think like today, Calvin, I got to be honest with you. I don't see that kind of level of creativity. Like, everything is pretty homogenous. You can't tell one hotel brand from another, really, in most cases. And I do always, when I do my keynotes, I tell people, your people are the ones that are going to make that experience memorable, which is true. Everything else is just a ticket to the ball game. Your rooms can be copied. The furniture you put in there can be copied, all of those things, but you can't copy the people in there. So if you really get the right team, the right staff that really care and truly can deliver that memorable experience, you're gonna stand out. But now today, you don't even get that. Everybody's pretty like, I don't know what happened after COVID, but it feels like things just shifted. Well, I think, and I don't want to generalize all hotels. Of course, there are some out there that's doing fantastic work, so I don't want to be misquoted or anything. But I feel like now that AI is the shiny new object, I think people are still trying to figure that out. And I believe there's efficiencies and you can save money. You can do all those things with AI. But I think sometimes people go too far and you forget the human part of the experience. You still need that. And so you can't go too far with the technology. I think it can help, free up your team to be more customer focused and engage with guests. But if you go too far, man, you lose the soul. You don't want your property to lose soul, man. The soul is everything.
Exactly. You just said a lot, man. There's so many different ways we can go with this. But that I'll take that last point. I don't want to say the name of the hotel because it's not about disparaging any one property or
right.
And plus, hey, they're all part of the family. I don't want to hurt anybody that's working at the hotel. But it's in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say it's the most soulless hotel I've ever been to. And Las Vegas is not necessarily known for that type of hospitality. It's not like a hands-on, warm and fuzzy. It's this is a giant place with everything you want to do in life. Go do it.
Yeah.
But they all have an identity. They all have some sort of soul, something that makes you feel like staying in the building. We went to this one particular property that had done tons of marketing about itself. And I'm walking through this place and I'm like, the best way I could describe it is if an airline terminal and a Waldorf Astoria had a baby, that baby was a casino. It is massive ceiling. I mean, way up there. And it's all white, so it's sterile. It feels like you're in an airline terminal in a mall. It's just huge and cavernous and no sort of warm feeling in there. And then they try to go somewhere with the artwork. They try to put some high-end stores in there, but it's just, again, because it just doesn't fit. And there's nobody there. It's just
horrible.
Yeah, it was just a weird feeling. And I've been in this business 20 plus years. I have never walked into a hotel and felt that, which was nothing. You know what I mean? You go to any of your economy brands, any kind of brand, you feel something. You know what to expect. You take your most run-of-the-mill, plain white cracker Marriott.
Right.
But there's going to be a grab and go. There's going to be a front desk. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know where things are going to be, and you know what's going to be there. This hotel was just
soulless.
And I was like, man, it's hard to. I think it's hard to create something like that in this.
Yeah.
Day. But something else that you talked about, I want to get more into being this. This being a marketing podcast. You talked about a lot of what we see today being kind of repetitive, being unable to differentiate one brand from another. And it's something that we run into at my agency, working with a bunch of different types of properties. But I see it particularly with the higher end hotels, the hotels that consider themselves luxury or lifestyle. They continuously want to do the same post over and over and over again. And you probably already know the post, but for those out there, I'll let you know. And as you scroll Instagram, you tell me if you've seen this, how many times you've seen it. It's a picture of a coffee cup on a nice wood table with a coaster, and somebody's hand is grabbing it, and the caption says something like, "We are cool." And it's like, okay. Then you may see a picture of a shadowy lobby with some flowers in the background, or with a silhouette of a person walking by, and we're cool again. And it's like, cool, but what is this doing for the person who sees it?
Right. And if I took, I think I know who you're talking about. And if I took that brand off of there, I could slap another brand on there and you would never know the difference. That is the most uncreative piece of work you can do. Nobody's going to remember that.
Hey, let me ask you something. If you're running a hotel and you know social media matters, but you just don't have the time to figure it out, you're not alone. That's exactly why I built RevPar Media. We work with hotels to create marketing strategies that actually drive bookings, not just likes. From social media management to influencer campaigns to full creative production, we've been in the room, we've managed the revenue, and we know what moves the needle. If that's something you're looking to solve right now, scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the show notes. Now, back to today's conversation.
Going back to that Las Vegas situation you talked about, you said they had done a great job marketing this place. So you came in there, Calvin, with an expectation.
Yep.
Right?
I was curious to see it because I was there for a conference. The conference was on the main strip. So this hotel is off the main strip. They had to bus us over about a 20-minute drive. And again, from I guess leadership, marketing, common sense standpoint, if you're 20 minutes off the strip, you need to do something to attract people out of that space, right? You're going to have to be more competitive in your pricing, your marketing, and what you're offering, right? So something's got to draw people there.
Yep.
So if we're being bussed 20 minutes off the strip where everybody wants to be, and I walk into a hotel that has no soul, no feel, why would anybody do that?
You're never coming back. Nope. You're never coming back, and you're going to probably tell people, don't go there if you go to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And so the sad thing about that is they've spent all that money getting you there through their marketing, and the experience is totally opposite what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I call that a Milli Vanilli experience.
Yep.
Because you thought Milli Vanilli could sing, and you found out they couldn't. And so, they didn't make that record anyway. But the thing is, that is the worst that you can do to a guest or customer, is to create and paint a picture, and set an expectation, and then let them down. That is horrible. Yeah.
And it's funny, I think it goes back to something I talk about a lot in what we do is you have to be authentic.
Yes.
The authenticity is paramount to making your marketing work. I've had clients, who feel that their rooms aren't the nicest or whatever. Like, hey, why don't we just not post pictures of our rooms? Why? So you want to lie to your audience?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, because people, when they're shopping for, they're going to find those pictures somewhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
wouldn't you rather control that narrative? Wouldn't you
Mhm.
rather show them what the rooms look like? Of course, you're not picking your room that's got the toilet not working, or
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean, pick your best looking room, but it doesn't need to be the Ritz-Carlton. It doesn't need to be, Six Senses. Most people don't stay at those type of hotels.
Mhm.
Let's
Right.
be real. Most
Right.
people are staying at a hotel that looks exactly like yours, right?
Mhm.
They're not really concerned that you don't think it's the prettiest thing out there,
Right.
but
Right.
they are concerned that it's not dilapidated. So
Right.
if you're not posting pictures on your social media about what your hotel looks like, guess what? They're going to go to TripAdvisor and find those pictures.
Yes,
They're
they
going to
are.
go to Google and find those pictures. And then what are they going to do? They'll book there. And now
Yeah.
you owe 20% to one of these channels
Yeah. Exactly.
when they could have found it on your Instagram
Right.
and saved you all that money and trouble.
Absolutely. I see stuff all the time, man. But I just hope that, um, like I said, and like I say in all my speeches, it's the people are going to be the ones. Now you can't have a raggedy hotel. I mean, it's got to be, like you said, up to at least a certain standard, and
Correct.
be decent enough for people want to sleep in there. But beyond that, all of the other stuff, the little things that you might put in there, that's cool too, man. But if you can have the most beautiful place too, but if your people suck, it's not going to make any difference in the world. So I just believe that it's almost like a balance thing. You got to take care of your people. You got to take care of your property too. But man, the people they're the ones, they're the differentiators. Because I've been in some hotels that didn't look that great, but the people were like 5-star.
Mm-hmm.
And they made you feel great. They recognized you when they saw you. It was just wonderful. And then you leave and you're like, man, I'll go back there. Wasn't the greatest property, but
Right.
they were wonderful. And
Right.
so it makes a big difference, But I've also been in, like I said, the big beautiful places. I've been in a lot of those, Calvin, where they go, but the people just don't. It just happened. I went to a restaurant this weekend. The place itself was gorgeous. People were horrible. Everybody was complaining about staff behind it was a bar kind of bistro type situation. It's horrible. Just horrible.
Yeah, you know what I like in those hotels too is those people that peaked in high school, like your prom king or queen, or the jocks or the cheerleaders.
Right.
They didn't have to develop a personality because they were just hot, right?
It's hot.
Everybody, yeah, they were hot. Everybody
Right.
wanted to be around them. Everybody wanted to get with them or be around them,
Right.
and whatever. And then you fast forward 5-10 years after high school, and it's like, wait a second, you're not very bright. You're not very warm or funny. There's nothing
Right.
drawing me to you.
Right.
There's no personality here,
Mhm.
And I've worked at hotels like that. I'm sure you've have experiences as
Mhm.
well, and that's kind of one of the things that's driven me to do what I do, is because you can't get by on that anymore.
No.
Maybe
Nope.
in the early 2000s, and that's why I think a lot of these lifestyle brands are posting the way they're posting. We talked about is early 2000s, when nobody had a smartphone, and the only way to get a beautiful high def picture was with a camera.
Real
right?
camera, right.
Right. So if you had those type of pictures, yeah, it jumped out. It didn't matter what your caption was. It didn't matter what story this picture was telling. Oh, look at that photo. Well, that's intriguing. I want to do more of that. But that was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mhm.
And I can take pictures, HD pictures on my phone right now, and so can everybody else.
Yes, sir.
Right. So what's behind that photo? What story, what feeling are we trying to drive with this?
Mhm.
And that's, I think people who are still doing it that way are just missing the boat.
Yeah.
you know
Right.
um but I wanted to jump back on a point that you just made as far as the people, because that's something I always talk about. I get questioned a lot. Hey,
Right.
we don't have this big, beautiful hotel. We've just got a insert economy brand here near the airport. How do we be successful with our marketing and on social? And my answer is always, you have people, you have
Mhm.
stories there. What are your suggestions on how brands can leverage their people and their stories in their marketing?
I mean, they're really your brand ambassadors. I think that any way that you can highlight stories, people love stories. They're memorable. And so any way that you can highlight stories, employee stories, guest stories, guests that had experiences in your hotel, anything like that, video or anything that makes it look to add some soul to your property
Hmm.
could work. I just think that just having a person sitting in a lobby with nothing attached to it really doesn't move me. But if you have a
Right.
story behind it, a nice video, you can even have other employees do a video support.
Hmm. Hmm.
Have your employees do it. I just think you gotta, if you want to stand out, you gotta do something different. I think people are afraid of being different. It's like if everybody else is doing
Absolutely.
it, I want to do it. But you can't. You got to be the black sheep and the flock of white sheep.
Yeah.
You got to be able to stand out, or you'll stand by, and you just won't be able to do this. Like in my iconic framework, you mentioned the word authentic, and so in my iconic framework, I created it to really help people think about how you could be iconic and
Hmm.
sustain growth and be, maintain presence for years and years to come. And I just created this simple formula. And if you could do it, but you got to do them all or it doesn't work. So my first one, the first quadrant is to be unique, which is what we're talking about right now. And
Hmm.
that whole thing is being able to stand out from the crowd. And then really it talks also about your why and your purpose. What is your why do you do what you do? And that's where the whole uniqueness comes in. And then the second quadrant was to be authentic, which you just talked about, and but I talk about it also in the fact that you got to be your authentic self, but also having empathy. Can you walk in your customer's shoes and really understand where they're coming from? If you're leading people, being transparent and humble, that's all in that quadrant. And then the next quadrant is to be passionate. I'm a big passion person,
Yep.
Calvin. And if you can, I believe you can accomplish so much with passionate people. And if everybody's passionate about taking care of the guests, you're going to be far ahead. Trust me.
Hmm.
And if you're leading with people, if you're leading with vigor and vitality, you're excited, that's going to bleed into your team. That's going to bleed into the customer experience. Trust me, it will. I think people mirror and emulate what they see from their leadership. And if you coming in every day with a woe is me attitude and all of that, it's not going to help your team. And trust me, the customer will feel it. And then the last one is to be consistent. And that is around really focusing on what matters most, but more importantly, never becoming too comfortable or complacent. Because sometimes success, Calvin, can become a barrier for innovation. I believe sometimes we get comfortable and we're riding it through. And so, but you always gotta be looking at what's coming next, what's going, staying on top of technological trends, consumer
Hmm.
change and taste. All of those things are critical. So I talk about that in a packaged into a keynote, but I'm very serious about all of the pieces in there because if you can get that stuff right, you're gonna be good. Everybody has their own approach and different way of doing things, but I just believe that so many people are afraid of standing out. Everybody, let's do what everybody else does, so we seem like we're in this box. But
Yeah.
about my former boss, no box, out the box.
Hmm.
Let's
Yeah. No, I love that. And, I'll be totally transparent here on this show. Is that's something that I've struggled with for the majority of running my company is how to bridge that gap with these clients that see themselves as luxury and lifestyle. I'm not saying see themselves as if they're not. Some of these are very beautiful hotels.
I'm sure.
But there's so many different ways to do your marketing while remaining luxurious that doesn't look like everything that's already been done.
Yeah.
But I've never thought about it and I've been racking my brain is like, well, why is this such a big hurdle to jump over? But I never thought about it from the standpoint of people just don't want to stand out, but we're selling hotels here in order to, in competitive markets.
It is.
London, if everybody's doing the same thing and you're one of thousands of hotels in your city, how are you getting your customer?
Yeah.
And what's stopping that person from going to the guy next door?
Right. That's why there's no brand loyalty there.
Yeah.
You're just the person for now,
Mm-hmm.
You might have had a better rate, you might your location, which is always a good thing where you are, but you want them to select you because you have the best experience. You want them to select you because I know when I go there, they're going to make me feel great. It's going to be a great experience. And I'm going to go tell everybody else to come and stay here too. Because that's the trigger. Having a guest go tell their friends, relatives, and colleagues about staying at your hotel is everything. That's free marketing for you, you know? But if you're bland and you just, they may tell somebody.
They might, yeah. If somebody asks, hey, where'd you stay when you went to Minnesota?
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's such and such hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, is it cool? Yeah. Check the rate.
Right. That's not what you want.
No.
That's just
average. Exactly. That's just the baseline.
There's average.
Quick segue, but get back on point. But that's kind of what I used to talk about with my teams when talking about like guest reviews. People would complain, oh man, well, we didn't do anything wrong, and all we got was like a 3 or 4 star review. And it's like, well, because that's what we gave them.
Yeah.
Just delivering what you're supposed to deliver is not a 5-star review.
No.
It's not. You're not. Check-in isn't supposed to take 5 minutes. Right. It's supposed to be quick. The room's supposed to be clean.
Right.
Room service is supposed to be hot and on time.
Yes.
Those are things that are supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You get 5 stars for exceeding that, for being memorable.
Yes. Yes. And that's what people don't understand, and that's why some things, even today, like if you go to like a Subway or something and they make my sandwich and then you want a tip? Didn't you just do what you're supposed to do? It's stuff like
I'm cracking up. One of the funniest memes I've seen over the past few weeks was something specifically talking about Subway. And I was like, wait, why am I giving you a tip at Subway? Didn't we make the sandwich together?
Hey, I'm telling you what to put on it. That's funny. But you're right. Now, so I don't know what they can do there, but I guess one thing is that you're right. You have to do above and beyond to really get a 5-star. You got to do something different. And that means making my stay better, making me, what can you do? Think about it. What can we do? And that's why I love people that do huddles in the morning with their team. Mm-hmm. See this, and I don't know if this still happens. I'm sure there's some out there that do it, but I don't think leadership utilizes their team enough when coming up with ideas and ways to do things. Because if you get their ideas, they're in front of the customers every day, in front of guests every day. And I think when you ask your team, it energizes them, it further engages them. You get buy-in, but ask them, what can we do to help us stand out from everybody else? Man, you'll be surprised the answers you will receive. And just make sure, man, get your team involved. Yeah. And then when you're having meetings about your, guest service scores, all that, and I hope a lot of people are still doing it, but telling them which direction the scores are going, what things are not working well, how can we address those? Involve everybody. it just makes a much better experience for your employees, and it's going to help your property too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, I want to get into the book a bit because I know that's something I was excited to talk to you about, and it's unfortunate we didn't get to do this in February. So
Yeah.
History Month.
Oh, it's Black History Month all year.
Listen. I'm gonna tell you.
All year, Calvin. All year.
Well, me and you could feel that way, but some of these companies out there don't.
Right.
I just posted this on my story the other day, man. I was rewatching Straight Outta Compton. At my age, you get to that point in the night where you're like, you got to make choices. Do I mess up my sleep score because I want to watch the last half an hour of this movie?
Right.
Or do I just watch the rest tomorrow?
Right.
So I did the adult thing. I paused the movie. I said, I'm going to bed. I'll watch it tomorrow. I turn on the TV the next day. It's on one of these streaming services. It's not there. I figured it's on the continue watching.
Oh,
it's gone. I'm like,
whoa.
Was I watching on something else? I thought, maybe it's me. I'm like, I Google. No, it's supposed to be on this one. I pull it up. And like I'm searching for it. It's just gone. Like, how did this movie just disappear overnight? And then I realized it's March 1st.
Don't tell me they took it down because Black History Month ended. No way. No.
Listen.
No.
I have seen movies and shows removed from streaming platforms before, right? Like, for example, we've been rewatching Lost. That was on Netflix. And it said leaving soon. December 31st, it left. It's now on Hulu. That made sense to me. It's the end of the year. I was like, February is a weird time for a contract to end. And I was like, oh, maybe they had the black movies in February.
I would hate to think that.
It's like, oh, it's March 1st. Go somewhere else and watch this.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
Listen. For those of you who and my audience knows I'm a clown, so I'm joking. But and listen, like this, they used to say things that make you go,
Yeah.
But anyway, we're gonna talk to the book. It's Black History Month all the time around here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about this. What was the inspiration behind writing Hidden Hospitality and I'll just leave it at that. What was the inspiration?
Well, it started in grad school, honestly.
Okay.
A friend of mine who I work with now at the Advanced Leadership Institute, he was an undergrad at Cornell too, and I was a graduate student. And he was a chairperson for an organization that started up there. I'm sure you're familiar with the National Society of Minority Hoteliers, NSMH.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So they started there, and they were having one of their first conferences. And he asked me to, would I do some research on Black hotel ownership from a historic perspective to do a presentation for one of the conferences. So I was like, okay, that seems pretty interesting. And so as I was gathering information, I just felt it in my spirit. I've always loved Black history, Calvin. My mother gave me a huge, I might have been 12, huge Black history book when I was a kid. And man, I still remember what it looked like, It was just, and I would just thumb through this thing, and I just loved reading the stories in there. And so when I was doing this research, I felt that resurgence of that excitement again. And so I put together the presentation, but I got so intrigued by it, I began. You have to write a monograph to graduate out of that program at Cornell. And it's not as intense as a thesis, of course, but it has to be a pretty substantial paper. And so I wrote like 100-page document on this subject. It was called Hospitality Historiography at the time. My publisher, they were like, we're not using that title. That's not gonna work. So what ended up happening was they give you a nice copy of your monograph in a beautiful black binder. It has gold lettering on it. And so this was like 93 sometime in there. Fast forward to almost 30 years, Calvin, I found it. I was cleaning out some boxes. And I pulled it out. It was a friend of mine here. I came out of the room so excited. I was like, I found my monograph. And no, she goes, what is it about? And I was like, it's about Black hotel ownership. Starts in the late 1700s, goes all the way through. She's like, oh my God, we owned hotels back then.
Yeah, that's shocking
And
to me as well.
so she said, let me see that thing. And so she starts reading it, and I could see she was really excited about it. And then she looks up at me and goes, is this a book? And that was it. I was like, it's going to be now. And that's it. That Calvin, I can't tell you a more simpler story. That's it.
Yeah, right.
And so I called some people, just to get some insight to see if people would be interested in it. And they were like, if you can pull that off, dude, that'll be a great contribution to this industry.
Yeah.
And so that's how we are. That's where we are today.
That's fantastic.
Took a long time to get it done. I went with a hybrid publisher. So for those of you that don't know, or the hybrid publisher, you have to raise money first before they print the book. So I had to raise $75,000 to get 3,000 copies printed. I had put together a nice pitch deck, Calvin, to show people to help me, fund the project. The American, AHLA Foundation gave me half up front, which I'm so grateful for them. And then, I raised the rest of the money through, Sheila Johnson contributed. John Rogers with Aerial Investment contributed. The Southeast Society of Tourism. So I had several people, some friends, pulling in. And once we got to the 75, I was good. And so again, you never get anywhere great alone, right? And so that was another perfect example that people supporting that project and getting it to, to where it is. So super excited about it. Is the reception has been absolutely phenomenal. I just love that my industry has embraced the project so much, and people coming out to book signings, supporting it. I'm just grateful, man. Just feel blessed and grateful.
So what would you say is the most interesting thing you learned through making the book?
The most interesting thing I learned is projects like this take longer than you think it will.
Okay.
You get these visions of, I'll be done in this amount of time. I'll be done in this amount of time. But you have to give yourself grace, particularly a project of that magnitude. It was a pretty big project. It did take a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but at the same time, man, you just got to give yourself grace. And the most important thing is getting it done. I always like to tell people this story, Calvin. As I mentioned earlier, I have two teenage boys. They're 16 and 18, and they saw me day after day, night after night, typing day after day. I'm talking for years. And they come here from school, come and see me in the evening. I'm still going. And so they were like, Dad, are you going to finish this thing? When are you going to finish it? What is going on? When are you going to be done? So I'm like, it'll be done when it gets done, And so probably one of the proudest moments for me was when I had got my first print of the book and handed it to them. That was probably, out of the whole project, being able to show them their finished product after they had seen me work on it for so long.
Right.
And then I just handed it to them and said, don't ever say you can't finish anything. So it was a great lesson for them to see, if you're passionate about something and you really need to get it done, you need to finish it. And so now my oldest boy is getting ready to go to college. I'm gonna probably need that lesson a lot for him.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it, Caden. You gotta get it done.
Exactly.
So that in itself, Calvin, that's probably one of the biggest things I'm most proud of is them seeing that go from pieces of the paper to a full-fledged book.
Any particular stories from your research that stand out to you? Any particularly impactful ones?
Man, there's a lot of them in there. There's so many. I'm sure a lot of you know, probably, if you do know some history of Black hotels, James Wormley, all of those guys at Whitelaw was in there. But one guy I always talk about, and most people probably like They probably see me on other podcasts and like, not Joseph Lee again. I talk about Joseph Lee a lot because I just think he is the perfect example of a hotelier that was passionate about the industry. He was also creative. He was an innovator, and his level of resilience is amazing. He had two hotels, and this is like 1906, somewhere up in there. He had two hotels, Woodland Park Hotel and the Abbotsford. Beautiful properties. He lost them both to the Depression, came back a year later, opened a 250-seat pavilion restaurant, did that for a little while. And then he started focusing on his catering business because he was a great cook. This was in Massachusetts and in Quincy. Everybody knew him for his cakes and bake. He just was was a brilliant guy. So what ended up happening was he starts his catering business, and he has like people needing bread for him, but they're not moving fast enough because he was so busy. So he gets a patent for a bread kneading machine. Okay. Then the machine was making too much bread. Then he gets a patent for a breadcrumb making machine. Mm-hmm. And so he used those breadcrumbs to again differentiate his food offerings, because he would use the breadcrumbs to coat his fish and chicken. And so people would come from all around to stay, not just at his hotel, but the culinary experience he created for people was what made him stand out. And so what ended up happening was those machines, he sold the rights to the machines. It got bought by some huge company, and those machines ended up in hotels across the nation. So he became very, very wealthy. And then when he died, I think his wife's name was Christiana, I think it was. And she was in business with him all the way through. And then when he died, she kept that hotel open. And then she built another inn dedicated to her husband, and ran that too. It was called Lee's Inn. And so, that's a very collapsed story of all he went through. Mm-hmm. Of the people that's in there, he is one that stands out in my mind because he demonstrated all those things in that iconic framework that we talked about. Yeah. He was the perfect example of that. And so what's strange about it, he didn't even they did induct him into the in the Innovator Hall of Fame in like 2009, but it was like a whole century after he had gotten the first patent. We didn't get the recognition we should have. There's another guy in there named Edwin Berry, Edwin Cornelius Berry. He had a hotel in Athens, Ohio. He was reputed to be the first to put coat hangers in closets, first to put Bibles in the room, first to put sewing kits in the room. But you would know all that stuff. It's the stories are in that book are some of them so fascinating, Calvin. But you just wouldn't know. But I always say, Black history is American history. All this book does, and I don't want to say that it's minuscule, but it does fill a gap. Because, most of the narratives you would hear about Blacks in hospitality back in the day, all you heard was us in service roles, like, cooks, maids, housekeeping, in which all those roles were important. Don't get me wrong, but that's not all we did.
Right.
We were full entrepreneurs, built 5-story hotels, 100, 200 rooms, which became cultural hubs in a particular area where everybody Black went to and celebrated these people that opened these properties. I like to call them the race people because they built them for their race. You couldn't stay in white hotels. And so they were like, you know what? We're going to build some place where our people can feel respected and have dignity and rest their heads and feel safe. And that's what they did. And I always tell people when you read through, always keep in mind the time we're talking about. We're not talking about today. We're talking about when the nation with the most extreme discrimination. And they were able to accomplish that. That's why I say this book is inspiring to anybody, regardless of your race or religion or whatever. Those stories could inspire you. We have a lot of things at our disposal now that they didn't have, and they made it happen. So
Right.
you don't have any excuses. If you want to do something, go out there and fulfill your dream.
Right.
And you can see it right there on paper. They made it happen. So I know I went off on a soapbox right there, but
That's why I asked you the question, man. That is what we're here for.
Yeah, man. I just think that it was just important. Those were important narratives that we needed to see.
Final question, because I think this is a powerful note to end on. When someone reads Hidden Hospitality, what's the one thing you hope they never forget about the history of hospitality?
I hope they just never forget, and they won't be able to after they read it, that we helped build that landscape too. And I know we know about the Marriotts, the Hiltons, and the Kemmons Wilsons of the world, which totally grateful for their contributions to the landscape of hospitality. But I want people to also understand that African Americans made a huge, huge contribution as well. And so what I'm hoping when they finish reading it, they realize and say, wow, this was a part of American history I just didn't know. But I know now. So you can't act like you can't be blind to it once you read it. Once you've read it, that's in your spirit and it's in your soul, and now and you can go share those stories with other people. So that's what I hope they walk away with, really having an appreciation for what African Americans did for this industry.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
As I said, we've been connected for some years, following what you do. Really proud of everything I see you doing, man.
Thank you, Calvin. You too, brother. You too, man. And thank you for having me today. One day we're gonna meet in person. We're gonna shake hands.
We will. We'll make that happen for sure.
Right.
But yeah, let the audience know where they can find you. More importantly, where can they get Hidden Hospitality and connect with you?
Okay. My email is calvin@iconicpresentations.net. If you're particularly interested in purchasing a copy of Hidden Hospitality, you can go to calvinstovall.com. There is a tab there that says, when you go to shop, there's a tab there that says direct order. You can use that one. The author gets more money that route.
There you go.
So go to direct order and order it there, and it'll be shipped to you. But yeah, calvinstovall.com. I'm on IG at Iconic Speaker. Is my handle there, and of course I'm on LinkedIn. You can just find me there as well. So, man, again, appreciate everybody's support, and thank you again for having me on here, Cal. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Of course, it's been a pleasure, and we will see you all on the next one.
All right, salute.